Hey warriors, there's a tree that grows in the desert, not where you'd expect life to thrive, not where comfort exists, but there it stands, roots drilling down through rock, branches reaching toward a merciless sun. Scientists call it the Joshua tree. The desert doesn't ask if it's ready, the storms don't wait for permission, yet it survives. Not because the conditions changed, but because something inside it refused to break. Your mind is that tree, and right now you're standing in your own desert. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But here's what most people miss. Your why isn't enough. You need a mind that doesn't just survive the storm. You need a mind that grows through it. A mindset isn't built in comfort. It's forged when everything around you says quit, and something deep inside whispers, not yet. We're not talking about positive thinking. We're not talking about pretending pain doesn't exist. We're talking about building something unshakable, something that looks at failure and says, teach me, something that faces fear and says, I'm walking through you anyway. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who've weathered loss, rejection, bankruptcy, heartbreak, and somehow came out whole. They're not superhuman. They don't possess secret powers. What they have is a mindset that was built deliberately, brick by brick, through practice and pain, and choosing to stand up one more time. Today, we're building that mindset together. Not through theory, not through empty motivation, but through 7 real, tangible shifts that will rewire how you face every challenge life throws at you. These aren't quick fixes. They're the foundation stones of a mind that survives anything. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. Life won't get easier. You won't suddenly stop facing obstacles. The world won't soften its edges for you. But you can build a mind so resilient, so adaptable, so grounded in truth, that nothing can knock you off your path permanently. You can break, you can bend, you can bleed, but you won't stay down. If you're ready to build a mind that nothing can break, drop this in the comments. I build an unbreakable mind. Hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel because we're building something here, a community of people who refuse to break. Number 1, accept that pain is the price of growth. Here's what they don't teach you in school. Suffering isn't a mistake. It's not something that happens to the unlucky. It's woven into the fabric of every meaningful life. Every single person you've ever admired has bled for their growth. The difference isn't that they avoided pain, it's that they stopped running from it. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain, not metaphorical pain, real pain, the kind that makes you want to quit, the kind that keeps you up at night, the kind that forces you to look at who you really are when the masks come off." Most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid discomfort. They choose the safe job, even though it kills their soul. They stay in relationships that drain them because being alone feels scarier. They numb themselves with distractions, scrolling through other people's lives instead of building their own. And then they wonder why they feel empty. Here's the shift. What if pain isn't the enemy? What if it's the signal that you're growing? What if every moment of discomfort is your old self dying so your new self can emerge? Think about the gym. Your muscles don't grow when you're comfortable. They grow when they tear, when they're pushed past their limit, when they're forced to adapt or fail. Your mind works the same way. Every challenge is tearing down the weak version of you so something stronger can be built. But there's a crucial distinction here. We're not glorifying unnecessary suffering. We're not saying seek out pain for pain's sake. We're saying when life brings you pain, and it will, don't waste it. Don't just survive it. Use it. Extract the lesson. Mine it for wisdom. Let it carve out space inside you for more strength, more compassion, more depth. The people with unshakable mindsets aren't fearless. They're terrified just like you, but they've learned to see pain as information, not as punishment. When something hurts, they ask, "What is this teaching me? What part of me needs to evolve? How can I use this?" You're going to face rejection. You're going to fail. You're going to lose people you love. You're going to make mistakes that haunt you. This isn't pessimism, it's reality. But here's the empowering part. When you stop expecting life to be painless, you stop being devastated every time it hurts. You start seeing obstacles as assignments, tests you were always meant to pass. Every breakdown is a breakthrough trying to happen. Every rock bottom is solid ground to rebuild on. Every time you think you can't handle anymore, you're actually discovering how much you can handle. So, stop waiting for the pain to pass before you start living. Stop believing that happiness means the absence of struggle. Build a mind that says, "This hurts, and I'm growing through it anyway." If pain has been your greatest teacher, comment, "Pain teaches me strength." Number 2, train your mind to see options when others see walls. There's a concept in chess called zugzwang, a position where any move you make worsens your situation. But here's what separates a master from an amateur. The master knows that even in zugzwang, there's always a least damaging move. There's always a choice, even when all choices hurt. Your mind right now might be telling you there's no way out, that you're trapped, that all doors are closed. But that's not reality. That's a story your fear is writing. Viktor Frankl wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Think about that. A man who had everything stripped away, his family, his freedom, his dignity, still found the one thing no one could take, his ability to choose his response. Most people don't have a mindset problem. They have a vision problem. They're staring so hard at the wall in front of them that they've forgotten to look left, look right, look up. They've convinced themselves that their current circumstances are permanent, that their current limitations are absolute. But here's the truth. Almost every wall you're facing has a crack. Almost every impossible situation has an improbable solution. And the mindset that survives anything is the one that refuses to accept the first answer when that answer is no. Let me be clear. This isn't toxic positivity. This isn't pretending problems don't exist. It's training your brain to become a problem solver instead of a problem dweller. It's the difference between saying "I'm stuck" and asking, "What haven't I tried yet?" When you lose your job, most people see disaster. But someone with a survivor's mindset sees a forced opportunity to pivot into something they've been too scared to try. When a relationship ends, most people see loneliness. But a resilient mind sees space to rebuild their identity without compromise. When health fails, most people see limitation. But the unbreakable see a chance to redefine what strength means. This shift requires practice. Your brain is wired to focus on threats. It's a survival mechanism from when our ancestors needed to spot predators. But in modern life, this wiring keeps you focused on what's wrong instead of what's possible. Here's how you train it. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I can't," pause. Take a breath. Then ask, "What can I do right now with what I have from where I am?" Not tomorrow, not when circumstances change. Right now. Maybe you can't change your entire life today, but can you change the next hour? Can you make one phone call? Can you research one alternative? Can you take one step, even if you can't see the whole staircase? The survivor's mindset isn't about having all the answers. It's about trusting that answers exist, even when you can't see them yet. It's about being resourceful enough to find the crack in the wall, creative enough to build a ladder, brave enough to ask for help, persistent enough to try door after door until one opens. And here's what happens when you develop this mindset. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become an architect of your life. You stop waiting for conditions to be perfect and start working with conditions as they are. You stop needing everything to go right and start finding ways forward even when everything goes wrong. Some of the most successful people in history built empires during recessions. Some of the greatest artists created masterpieces while battling depression. Some of the most inspiring leaders emerged from poverty, abuse, discrimination. Not because their circumstances were easy, but because they refused to let circumstances write their ending. You have more options than you think, more paths than you can see, more strength than you've ever tested, but you'll only discover them if you stop staring at the wall and start looking for the way through, around, or over it. If you refuse to accept defeat, drop this below. I always find a way. Number 3, build your mind on truth, not comfort. Here's an uncomfortable reality. Most of the stories you tell yourself are lies, not malicious lies, not intentional lies, but protective lies your ego created to keep you safe from hard truths. I'm not good enough is a lie. I've tried everything is a lie. This is just who I am is a lie. These aren't truths, they're shields, defense mechanisms, excuses dressed up as identity. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And he was executed for it, because truth is dangerous. Truth demands change. Truth strips away the comfortable narratives we hide behind and forces us to face what we've been avoiding. A mindset that survives anything is built on brutal honesty, not the kind that tears you down, the kind that builds you up by showing you exactly where you are so you can map where you're going. Most people fail not because they're incapable, but because they're unwilling to tell themselves the truth. They blame circumstances when they should examine choices. They call it bad luck when it's bad preparation. They say they don't have time when they mean it's not a priority. This is where real transformation begins. In the moment you stop lying to yourself. Ask yourself right now, what truth have I been avoiding? What am I pretending not to know? Where am I choosing comfort over growth? Where am I playing victim when I could be taking responsibility? These questions sting. They're supposed to, because growth doesn't happen in the soft, safe spaces. It happens in the friction between who you are and who you're capable of becoming. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about events. In other words, it's not what happens to you, it's the story you tell yourself about what happened. And most of those stories are designed to protect your ego, not reveal reality. You didn't fail because you're not smart enough. You failed because you didn't prepare adequately or you tried the wrong approach. Your relationship didn't end because you're unlovable. It ended because two people grew incompatible or communication broke down. You're not stuck because life is unfair. You're stuck because you haven't taken the hard actions required to move forward. See the difference? One narrative keeps you powerless. The other gives you agency. One keeps you comfortable in victimhood. The other hands you the tools for change. Building your mind on truth means developing what psychologists call accurate self-assessment. It means being honest about your strengths without arrogance and honest about your weaknesses without shame. It means looking at your patterns, the relationships you choose, the excuses you make, the ways you self-sabotage, and calling them what they are. Here's what makes this hard. Truth often means admitting you've wasted time, that you've hurt people, that you've been wrong, that the reason you're not where you want to be is because of choices you made, not circumstances forced upon you. But here's what makes it worth it. The moment you stop lying to yourself is the moment you reclaim your power. Because if your circumstances are your fault, they're also your responsibility. And if they're your responsibility, they're within your control to change. The strongest mindsets don't run from harsh realities. They don't sugarcoat. They don't make excuses. They look directly at what is, acknowledge it without judgment, and then ask, now what? What do I do with this truth? You can't build anything lasting on a foundation of lies. Not a business, not a relationship, not a life, and definitely not a mindset that survives anything. But when you commit to truth, even when it's ugly, even when it hurts, you build on bedrock. You build something that can't be shaken by external storms because it's rooted in internal honesty. So stop protecting yourself from the truth. Start using it as your compass. The truth might hurt temporarily, but lies hurt forever. Number 4, develop the discipline to act before you feel ready. There's a moment every single day when your mind presents you with a choice. It's quiet, almost invisible, but it determines everything. It's the moment between knowing what you should do and actually doing it. And in that moment, most people wait. They wait to feel motivated. They wait to feel inspired. They wait to feel ready. And while they're waiting, their dreams die. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Read that again. The difficulty isn't in the task. It's in your hesitation. It's in the gap between decision and action. Here's what separates people with survivor mindsets from everyone else. They've killed the myth that feelings must come first. They don't wait for courage. They act, and courage follows. They don't wait for confidence. They move, and confidence builds. They don't wait to feel ready because they understand a secret that changes everything. You will never feel fully ready. Never. Not for the business you want to start. Not for the conversation you need to have. Not for the change you know you must make. If you wait for readiness, you'll wait forever. Because readiness isn't a feeling. It's a decision followed by action. Think about the first time you did anything significant. The first day at a new job. The first time you drove a car. The first time you spoke in front of people. Were you ready? No. Did you do it anyway? Yes. And that's how you became capable. Not by waiting until you felt capable, but by acting despite feeling incapable. Your mind is wired to protect you from discomfort. It will manufacture every excuse, every rationalization, every logical reason to wait. Wait until you have more money. Wait until you have more time. Wait until the conditions are perfect. But conditions are never perfect. Money is never enough. Time never feels abundant. These aren't reasons. They're disguises for fear. The mindset that survives anything operates on a simple principle. Action precedes clarity. You don't think your way into a new life. You act your way into one. You don't plan until every variable is controlled. You move with incomplete information, adjust as you go, and trust that the path reveals itself to those who walk it. Discipline isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about making a promise to your future self and keeping it, even when your present self doesn't feel like it. It's about honoring the person you're becoming more than you indulge the person you currently are. Here's what this looks like practically. You set the alarm for 5 a.m. because you know morning time is yours. When it goes off, your body screams to stay in bed. Your mind offers 1,000 reasons why today could be the exception. And in that moment, that crucial moment, you move. Not because you feel like it, not because it's easy, but because you made a decision when you were strong, and you honor it even when you're weak. You know you need to have a difficult conversation. Your stomach churns. Your mind rehearses every way it could go wrong. And instead of waiting for the fear to pass, you speak anyway. You let your voice shake. You let the words be imperfect, but you speak. You know you need to start that project. You don't have all the skills yet. You don't have all the answers. You're terrified of failure. And you start anyway, messy, imperfect. But you start. This is how discipline compounds. Every time you act despite resistance, you're not just accomplishing the task, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching yourself that feelings don't have to dictate actions. That fear can exist, and you can move forward simultaneously. That discomfort is temporary, but the pride of keeping your word to yourself is lasting. The people who survive anything aren't special. They're not built differently. They've just practiced this one thing over and over. They do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. They've transformed discipline from a burden into a superpower. And here's the beautiful part. The more you practice acting before you feel ready, the more you realize you're more capable than you thought. That project you were terrified to start, you figure it out as you go. That conversation you were dreading, it's never as bad as the anticipation. That challenge you thought would break you, you're stronger on the other side of it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for motivation to strike like lightning. Stop waiting to feel ready. You have everything you need right now to take the next step, not the 10th step, not the 100th, just the next one. Number 5, protect your mind like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Your mind is a garden, and right now you're letting anyone and anything plant seeds in it. Every video you watch, every person you listen to, every thought you entertain, they're all planting something. And whatever you allow to be planted will eventually grow. The question is, are you growing flowers or weeds? In the Buddhist tradition, there's a concept called right view, the understanding that your perception shapes your reality, not the other way around. You don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. And if your internal world is chaos, poisoned by negativity, comparison, and toxic input, your external world will mirror that chaos back to you. Most people are unconscious gardeners. They consume whatever content the algorithm feeds them. They absorb whatever energy their environment projects. They replay whatever thoughts their anxiety generates. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, overwhelmed, defeated. A mindset that survives anything is fiercely protected, intentionally curated, deliberately guarded. Because your mind isn't just a valuable asset, it's your only asset. Everything you create, everything you overcome, everything you become starts there. If that space is polluted, everything downstream is compromised. This means you need to become radical about what you allow into your mental space. And I mean radical, not casual, not I should probably. Radical. Who are you spending time with? If they're constantly complaining, gossiping, playing victim, pulling you into drama, they're planting weeds. It doesn't matter if they're family. It doesn't matter if you've known them forever. Proximity doesn't obligate you to absorb poison. You can love people from a distance while protecting your peace. What are you consuming? If you're scrolling through social media watching people's highlight reels and feeling inadequate, you're poisoning yourself. If you're watching news designed to trigger fear and outrage, you're programming anxiety. If you're listening to music that glorifies violence, depression, or nihilism, you're watering dark seeds. Be conscious, be selective. Your inputs determine your outputs. What thoughts are you entertaining? This is the hardest one because thoughts feel automatic. They pop up uninvited. But here's what most people don't realize. You don't have to believe every thought you think. Your brain generates thousands of thoughts per day. Many of them are garbage, anxious projections, worst-case scenarios, self-criticism. You don't have to give them power. You can observe them, acknowledge them, and let them pass like clouds. The Stoics called this the discipline of assent. Just because a thought appears doesn't mean you have to consent to it. Someone cuts you off in traffic and your mind screams, "They're disrespecting you, get angry." You can acknowledge the thought and choose, or "They're having a terrible day and I can let this go." Someone criticizes you and your mind whispers, "See, you're not good enough." You can acknowledge it and counter, "One person's opinion doesn't define my worth." Protecting your mind also means building rituals that reinforce strength. Morning routines that center you before the chaos starts. Evening practices that help you process the day instead of carrying it into tomorrow. Moments of silence where you're not consuming anything, just being present with yourself. It means saying no to invitations that drain you, saying no to opportunities that don't align with your values, saying no to relationships that require you to shrink. Every no to what depletes you is a yes to what sustains you. And it means being ruthless about your environment. You can't build an unshakable mindset while surrounding yourself with instability. You can't cultivate peace while living in constant chaos. Sometimes protecting your mind means changing your job, your city, your circle. Sometimes it means creating boundaries that people won't understand. Do it anyway. Here's what happens when you protect your mind. You stop being reactive and become intentional. You stop being a victim of your environment and become its architect. You stop absorbing everyone else's energy and start generating your own. You become unshakable not because nothing bad happens, but because you've built an internal fortress that external storms can't penetrate. Your mind is the soil where everything in your life grows. Tend it carefully. Guard it fiercely. Feed it intentionally. Because a mindset that survives anything doesn't happen by accident. It's cultivated through deliberate daily protection. Number 6. Embrace isolation as the classroom where you meet yourself. There's a reason every great spiritual tradition talks about time in the wilderness. Jesus spent 40 days in the desert. Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree. These weren't vacations. These were confrontations. Moments when all the noise fell away and they had to face the only voice that matters, their own. Most people fear being alone. Not just physically alone, but truly alone. No distractions, no notifications, no music, no scrolling, just them and their thoughts. And they avoid it at all costs, because when you're alone, you can't hide from yourself anymore. Every unresolved pain surfaces. Every uncomfortable truth whispers. Every version of yourself you've been pretending doesn't exist comes forward asking to be acknowledged. Carl Rogers said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." But you can't accept what you won't face, and you can't face yourself in the crowd. You can only do it in the silence, in the solitude, in the sacred isolation where there's nowhere to run. Here's what nobody tells you about building an unshakable mindset. You have to be willing to sit with yourself at your worst, not distract yourself from it, not numb it, not drown it out with noise. Actually, sit with it. Feel the full weight of your fear, your shame, your inadequacy, your pain, and discover that you don't break, that you're bigger than any emotion trying to consume you. This isn't about becoming a hermit. This is about developing the capacity to be comfortable when it's just you. No validation from others, no entertainment, no escape routes, just you, your breath, and your truth. Most people outsource their sense of self. They need constant feedback from the world to know if they're okay. They need likes to feel valuable. They need company to feel worthy. They need noise to feel alive. And because of this dependency, they're fragile. The moment the external validation stops, they crumble. The moment they're alone, they panic. But a mindset that survives anything, it's built in solitude. It's forged in those moments when you choose to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. When you choose silence over distraction. When you choose self-reflection over self-avoidance. Think about it. Every breakthrough you've ever had came from within. Not from someone else's advice, though that helped. Not from a book, though that guided you. The actual moment of transformation that happened in the quiet space between who you were and who you were becoming, and you were alone when it happened. Isolation is where you strip away the masks you wear for everyone else. The performance, the persona, the version of yourself you think people need you to be. In solitude, all of that falls away. What remains is raw, unfiltered, real. And that's where your power lives, in the authentic version of yourself that doesn't need approval to exist. Here's the practice. Create intentional time alone. Not just physical aloneness where you're scrolling through your phone. Real aloneness. Turn everything off. Sit in silence. Let the thoughts come. Let the emotions rise. Don't judge them. Don't push them away. Just observe. Just breathe. Just be. At first, it will be uncomfortable. Your mind will scream for distraction. It will throw every anxiety at you to make you reach for your phone. Your body will feel restless. This is normal. This is your system detoxing from constant stimulation. Push through it. What you'll discover on the other side is profound. You'll realize you're enough. Not because someone told you, not because you accomplished something, but because in the absence of everything external, you're still here, still breathing, still whole, and that realization that you don't need the world's permission to be okay is the foundation of unshakable strength. Isolation also teaches you to distinguish between your voice and everyone else's. When you're constantly surrounded by input, you lose track of what you actually think, feel, want. You absorb everyone's opinions, expectations, judgments. But in solitude, you reconnect with your inner compass. You remember what you actually care about. You hear the whispers you've been drowning out with noise. The people who survive anything aren't the ones with the most support. Though support matters, they're the ones who've learned to stand alone. Who've built such a strong relationship with themselves that external circumstances can't topple their internal foundation. They've done the hard work of meeting themselves in the silence and making peace with what they found. Your mind will never be truly yours until you've sat with it in isolation, until you've faced your shadows without distraction, until you've proven to yourself that you can handle your own company. And once you do that, once you've embraced solitude as a classroom instead of a prison, you become unstoppable, because no one can take away what you've built inside yourself. Stop running from being alone. Start running toward it. Because in that space, in that beautiful, terrifying, transformative space, you don't just survive. You discover who you really are. Number 7, decide that quitting is not an option, then prove it to yourself daily. There's a point in every journey where quitting makes sense, where the logical voice in your head presents a compelling case for why you should stop, where every external indicator says you're fighting a losing battle, where continuing feels like insanity and quitting feels like wisdom. This is the moment that separates those who survive from those who surrender. Winston Churchill, speaking to a nation on the brink of collapse during World War II, said, "Never give in, never give in, never, 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 in nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in, except to convictions of honor and good sense. Not blind persistence, not foolish stubbornness, but a refusal to quit on what matters." Here's the hard truth. Building a mindset that survives anything requires you to make a decision that scares you. You have to decide, right now, that quitting is not in your vocabulary, not as a threat, not as an option you're keeping in your back pocket just in case. You have to close that door completely. Most people keep quitting as an escape hatch. They say they're committed, but in the back of their mind, they know they can bail when it gets hard. And because that option exists, they never fully commit. They never burn the ships. They never go all in. And because they're not all in, they experience every obstacle as a reason to reconsider instead of a challenge to overcome. But when you truly decide quitting isn't an option, everything changes. Obstacles stop being stop signs and become puzzles to solve. Failures stop being endings and become feedback. Pain stops being a reason to quit and becomes proof you're still in the fight. Let me be clear about what this doesn't mean. This doesn't mean you never pivot. It doesn't mean you stay in abusive relationships or toxic jobs. It doesn't mean you ignore your mental health or push through legitimate warning signs. There's a difference between quitting on your dreams and quitting on situations that are destroying you. What we're talking about here is the deeper commitment, the promise you make to yourself that you won't abandon yourself, that you won't give up on becoming who you're meant to be just because the path is harder than you expected, that you won't betray your potential just because realizing it requires more than you thought you had to give. This decision, this line in the sand, has to be proven daily, not once, not in a moment of inspiration. Daily. Every morning when you wake up and face the same challenges you faced yesterday, every evening when you're exhausted and tempted to cut corners, every moment when the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels insurmountable. You prove it in the small choices, when you do the workout even though you're tired, when you have the difficult conversation even though avoidance is easier, when you show up to the work even though you don't see results yet. These aren't dramatic moments. They're quiet acts of integrity between you and yourself. But they compound. Day after day, choice after choice, they build the identity of someone who doesn't quit. And here's what happens when you've proven to yourself over and over that you don't quit. You develop an unshakable trust in yourself. You know that no matter what life throws at you, you'll figure it out. Not because you're invincible, but because you've built a track record of pushing through when it would have been easier to quit. You've collected evidence that you're the kind of person who finishes what they start. This self-trust is the ultimate survival tool. When everything around you is falling apart, when circumstances are screaming that you should give up, you have an internal anchor. You've been here before, maybe not in this exact situation, but in other hard moments. And every time you push through, every time you found a way, every time you survived, that history becomes your future confidence. Think about every goal you've ever abandoned, every dream you let die, every version of yourself you quit on, not to shame you, but to recognize the pattern, and then decide, not this time, not this dream, not this version of myself. This time, I see it through. This time, I become proof of my own resilience. The mindset that survives anything isn't built in one heroic moment. It's built in 1,000 unglamorous ones. It's built every time you choose discipline over comfort. Every time you choose truth over excuses. Every time you choose to continue when every fiber of your being wants to stop. So, make the decision right now, not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, right now. Decide that you're done quitting on yourself. Decide that whatever challenge you're facing, you're seeing it through. Decide that you're building a life, a mindset, a self that doesn't break under pressure. It transforms because of it, and then prove it. Today, tomorrow, the day after, one choice at a time, one day at a time. Until the person you've been trying to become is simply who you are. If quitting is not in your vocabulary anymore, affirm, I never quit on myself. We started with a tree in the desert. roots pushing through rock, branches reaching toward an unforgiving sun, surviving not because conditions improved, but because something inside refused to break. That tree is you. And everything we've talked about, accepting pain as growth, seeing options where others see walls, building on truth, acting with discipline, protecting your mind, embracing solitude, refusing to quit, these aren't just concepts. They're the roots you're drilling down into bedrock right now. Building a mindset that survives anything isn't a destination, it's a practice, a daily commitment, a series of small choices that compound into unshakable strength. You won't wake up tomorrow invincible, but you will wake up one choice stronger than you were today, and that's enough. The challenges won't stop coming, life won't suddenly get easier, but you're different now. You're armed with the awareness that survival isn't about avoiding the storm, it's about becoming someone the storm can't break. Remember, you've survived every difficult day you've ever faced. Your track record for getting through hard times is 100%. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for, more resilient than you realize, more capable than you've ever tested. So, keep going, keep building, keep choosing growth over comfort, truth over excuses, action over hesitation. And when the world asks if you have what it takes to survive, let your life be the answer. If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone fighting their own desert, building their own roots. Drop a comment telling me which point hit hardest for you. And subscribe to this channel because we're just getting started. This community is for people who refuse to break, who choose growth, who build themselves into something unshakable. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the work. Now, go prove to yourself what you're made of.